how I actually personally healed from chronic fatigue syndrome. I know everyone's stories are a little bit different, but also everyone's stories are a little bit same. And there are lots of things that do come up that overlap in everyone's stories because of that. My personal approach, or what I really recognize that helped me, firstly, was stop putting extra toxins in. So that meant things like cosmetics, hair dye, perfumes, foods, various weird and wonderful things, plug-ins, air fresheners, candles, all of those sorts of things. I stopped bringing those things into my home, and I stopped then ingesting them either through my skin or my food or through my breath or whatever else, whatever other way that they're being ingested. And that makes a big difference, because we can't always all do detoxes because we're not strong enough when we're unwell and things, but definitely stop putting extra ones in is super important, and especially things on our skin, because I had not realized that you absorb about 70% of what you put onto your skin. Some say more than that. So I just stopped using all these creams, potions, lotions, weird and wonderful things, because I didn't want to add more toxins to my system and make myself feel more unwell. And I still do that to this day. There's no need for any of these things, and I think they are making a lot of people very unwell. So another thing that I personally worked on, and this this took a lot of work for a lot of time, a lot of years actually, but it is really important, and I see this in a lot of other people as well, is I really tried to get myself out of victim mode. And I know that's super difficult because you felt so unwell for so long and life feels really crap on many levels. But the thing is that this being stuck in victim mode, the thing is this being stuck in this cycle of thinking that your life is awful and your body is awful and things like that. Although I know day to day that is often the case, it's really hindering our health in it. And I know for myself that held me back so much for so many years, because when I started to work with that, when I started to see the small, magical, beautiful things in life and focus on the small stuff, the warmth of the duvet, the hot water in the taps, the dirty food on the plates so I had food to eat, those sorts of things, that really made a huge difference to my nervous system, and it made a huge difference to my health. And as I've worked with that over the years, that's become, my life is become fuller and happier, even though I actually have less now than I did then. And that's something that I always invite everybody to look into, to start to work with. When we've been thinking a certain way for a long time, that can take time for it to change, but to really start to work with that day to day, because that leads me on to the next thing that just made such a huge difference to my recovery, and that's nervous system regulation. And it's really difficult to regulate our nervous system if all the time we're in this stuck in victim mode. And I say this with the utmost love and support and everything I can to you, because I know it's how difficult that is. I know how challenging it is to find joy and pleasure and things like that in day-to-day life when you feel like death most of the time. But it makes such a big difference to keep trying, to keep breaking that habit, because nervous system dysregulation is holding us back from healing, and the victim stuff is holding us back from that. And it's we're only ever going to get so far if we are regulating our nervous system every few hours because we're doing some sort of meditation or some sort of nervous system regulating technique, and then we are keep getting caught in this loop all the rest of the time. So nervous system regulation was a big part of my recovery, And you can do that in loads of ways. Some people find that with meditation is good. Some, like I said, ear wiggling and various other weird and wonderful regulating techniques, getting outside in nature, some other weird and wonderful thing. Whatever works for you. Everybody's different, and some things regulate for some people and other things don't. So you have to play around with that a bit and see what makes you feel safe. And working on that, how can I feel as safe as I possibly can where I am, and letting go of the rest. We're never going to get it all perfect. We're human, life happens. So it's really like, how can I feel as safe as I can where I am right now? And also, like, what can I do with what I have right here, right now? So instead of us feeling and seeing problems all the time, which is an old habit, is to see ways through, with things we can do, empower ourselves in some way. And that leads me on to the next thing that was not incredibly regulating, yes, but also incredibly important to my recovery. And I've talked about this a lot, and I have a lot of videos on this on this YouTube channel, and that's EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique, or tapping, whatever you want to call it. This is a huge part of my recovery, because it helped me to break old habits. It helped me to break old unhelpful ways of thinking and being. It helped me to not spiral into old thought processes, to make better choices for myself, to release triggers and challenges, and really like deal with the day-to-day of being chronically ill. And a lot of people say to me, oh, but I'd be tapping all the time. And yes, you are. You are tapping all the time. When I first started doing it, I was tapping all the time. My arms ached. I didn't even have the strength to do tapping properly. I used to prop my arm up on a pillow or something and kind of just do this. But it's such an amazing tool that you can use yourself to help you just deal with life. Like I said, the day-to-day of feeling chronically unwell. And, all of these things I've just mentioned all kind of tie into each other. But, it's much easier for us to regulate our nervous system when we've kind of dumped all of the negative things that we're thinking and feeling through something like tapping. And if you're finding it difficult to regulate your nervous system, then maybe it's because you need to use something like tapping. Because if we're really charged, if we're really triggered, sitting there and being all zen and all of that is not going to be very easy for us. It's going to be very difficult for us to regulate. And another thing that helps us regulate is working on our circadian health, and that was a big part of my recovery as well. Understanding that I needed to try and go to bed even if I didn't sleep at certain times, not staring at screens all the time, getting my feet on the ground as much as possible, not being under LED lights, being outside whenever I could, or at a window or something like that. Just doing the bits of it I could whenever I could, because obviously we're not always feeling so great. And again, just focusing on those things that I could do instead of the things I couldn't do, and really just trying to be more natural. We're animals, we're human beings. We need daylight, we need good water, we need to touch the earth sometimes. We need to not be staring at screens and LED lights and things, because they're the opposite of natural for us. They're really disrupting our circadian health, which disrupts then every other part of our health, our hormones, our digestive system, our immune system, our sleep, everything. So that was another major part, and I still really focus on circadian health always. It's a big part of me feeling so amazing, and it's a big part of what I teach clients as well. So the other thing that I noticed made a big difference to my health was that I was trying to be raw vegan and then just vegan and stuff. I thought that was the healthiest way to be and the most anti-inflammatory. But when that wasn't working, and I started to add in eggs and fish, then things started to shift, and fats as well. Then things really started to shift. And I now know, because I've gone completely the opposite way in recent years, I now know that as if we can consume as many fats and proteins as possible and as little carbohydrate as possible, I see in my clients how quickly they recover. It's crazy, the difference. The brain fog especially, the inflammation, and their energy. It's an amazing, such a more speedy recovery. than I had. So yeah, that was also a big part. And then I really think it's just taking each day as it comes, really just trying as hard as possible. And I know, again, this is really difficult to accept where we are, because this constant searching and longing and lacking and things, again, is dysregulating us, which is interfering with our health overall. So I know it's difficult. We can't accept the whole picture because we feel really, really unwell. I get that. And I couldn't. And actually, when people told me that I had to work on acceptance, I could have easily poked their eyes out with something hot and burning. So I get if this is a little bit triggering, but yeah, basically, if we just work on the small stuff right in front of us, the simple things, and work on acceptance and the gratitude of those tiny things in front of us, then we regulate our nervous system, but we also start to see more good. So it helps in the long run as well. So you can't accept being ill, but you could accept maybe this moment of whatever you're feeling, the being in the house, under the duvet, in the warm. Maybe you can accept this very moment. And if you just keep working on trying to accept each moment, then things start to shift, and we start to feel more gratitude, and we start to feel more joy, and we start to feel more pleasure. And I really feel, and I know actually, that this is a huge part of why I feel so great mentally, physically, spiritually all the time now, no matter what's going on. At the moment I've actually got kidney stones. Apart from when I'm having the attacks, I feel amazing all the time, because I always look for the good in the moment. I always look for the pleasure, the joy, the lesson, the learning. And that's something I learned from recovering from chronic fatigue syndrome, to always look for those small things, because those small things start to build, and then they become large things. So yeah, that is my personal approach, what helped me with recovering from chronic fatigue syndrome, and much of it still helps me to this day. I hope you found that interesting. Thanks.